It feels so good to be back. The last 10 days or so, I've been on a literal volcanic island on my honeymoon, which is why you may have noticed I haven't had any new videos for about 6 days. I pre recorded some, but unfortunately, I couldn't cover the entire duration that I was gone. Well, I'm back, and I'm here to play some modern Twiddle Storm. First off, thank you to everyone that watched the last video. Holy smokes, the most viewed video ever on the channel. It's currently at 8,600 views and still climbing. I truly appreciate that. I really do. And one of the big things that everyone kept on saying was, Bryant, we want more Twiddle Storm combo. So I do appreciate that. That said, there were 3 videos, so if you haven't checked out all 3 of those, make sure to do so. So the first Twiddle Storm video, which will be in a card up above, you can go check out that. That was my first time playing this deck and me getting my feet wet, me learning along with you. So if you're interested in that sort of content, make sure to check out that video. The second video was Gift Storm versus Twiddle Storm. It's a short video, about 20 minutes, and it really compares the 2 decks and why you should be playing Twiddle Storm over Gift Storm. So once again, you can check that out. All these links will also be in the description down below. And then the last video, which was really Twiddle Storm's breakthrough. A bunch of people saw that video, played it. It really caught the wind. Like Channel Fireball published an email on the video or on the deck because of the video. I think Constructed Resources talked about the deck as well. The deck took off, so thank you to everyone. But I would like to say I'm not the creator of Twiddle Storm. I just happened to enjoy the deck and I picked it up and played it. But I think moving forward, it could be my primary modern deck. That's how much I like Twiddle Storm. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I've also received a lot of people messaging me about comments for Modern Horizons 2. Please don't comment that stuff in the comment section of the videos. I will not respond. As much as I appreciate you feeding the algorithm, it's not appropriate. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to respond to those things. I will have videos on these cards coming up this very week, so just be patient. They're coming, I promise. I have a lot to say on these cards, but for today, we're playing Twiddle Storm. And yeah, I've actually played this deck a lot since the last video. The last video was about 3 weeks ago. And I've learned some things about the deck since then, and I made some minor adjustments, some small improvements, but for the most part, the deck is the same. So the first adjustment was in the mana base. You'll see here we have 9 fetches now. So we cut the third basic for an additional Flooded Strand. The reason why I chose Strand is I think that it's the fetch that is least likely to be surgical or needled or something along those lines. This is a Grixis combo deck, so it's a little secretive, I guess. And so that was the first change. The second change was cutting one of the steam vents for a third Watery Grave. Someone in a Discord commented about how my deck was like 82% to hit a Black Source on turn 2 for Wishclaw, and I just wanted to increase those a little bit. So we actually have 2 extra Black Sources now with the Flooded Strand and the Watery Grave, so now we're up to like 91% or something like that. So you're pretty likely to have turn 2 Claw as long as that you draw it. You can cast it. So that's a small adjustment. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You're just like small adjustments for changes. The third Flooded Strand also helps with your Breach plan, which I do appreciate because Breach is probably the primary engine in this deck at this point. I use it more often than I use Past in Flames. It's just insanely good. Requires less resources than Past in Flames for the most part. Initial resources, that is. Once you start escaping multiple times, that can change. But it's just easier to cast between, like, all you have to do is twiddle this once and you're there. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, I think the only main deck change is the Perilous Voyage over Repeal. One adjustment that I noticed was that Eldrazi Tron players quit playing Chalice on 2 against me and they switched to 1, and then that Repeal became slightly embarrassing. So Perilous Voyage gives you the Scry factor, which is pretty helpful mid-combo, unlike Echoing Truth. And no one's ever going to name it with Meddling Mage, so that's kind of nice. So Perilous Voyage is in the deck, and it's been solid. I've enjoyed it so far. When you give your opponent the Claw and then bounce it back, you actually get to Scry, which is kind of nice. So Perilous Voyage is decent. I've also tried Eye of Nowhere in this slot. It's good. I actually do like it. That said, it's a little awkward in the fact that, like, you can't bounce a Blood Moon and then win. So, for the most part, you can actually beat most hate other than Blood Moon with Eye of Nowhere. The difference is Eye of Nowhere is a sorcery, and it's arcane, so you can splice onto it and untap with Psychic Puppetry, which is sort of sweet. I do enjoy that. I've said that phrase too many times in this video, but it's decent. If you haven't tried Eye of Nowhere, maybe do it. It's been good. But for today, we're trying Perilous Voyage. I've played it in a few leagues so far, and yeah, I'm just repeating myself at this point. We're going to move on. Flusterstorm. There's one less Flusterstorm on the board, and instead we're playing 2 copies of Defense Grid. People kept on saying they were struggling with blue matchups. I wasn't having as big of an issue, but there was these like bug control decks that had nothing but counters, and while those are pretty effective against us, you can beat them. You just have to play properly. I've made it easier by adding in Defense Grid. Defense Grid gets underneath most counter spells, because your opponent usually are tapping out on turn 2. They're not just like holding open counters. Defense Grid changes that quite a bit, other than Force of Negation. And you can even protect it with Flusterstorm and Spell Pierce, which is something I've done. Once Defense Grid resolves, your opponent can still have 3 lands. They can still force a negation. They can build up to 5 and play their Drown in the Lock or whatever. But you can usually power through 1 counter spell with this deck. It's the second that gets you. So Defense Grid just makes it really easy. And it came at the cost of a Flusterstorm and then the 3rd Aria. You don't want to be overboarding. So when you're boarding against the blue decks, you didn't have room for all the counter spells and 3 Aria and Defense Grid, so something had to bend, and in my opinion, that something was Aria Flame. So it's fine. I haven't really missed the 3rd Aria that much, and Defense Grid has just been an all-star. Spell Pierce is the same. Abrade is no longer in the deck. I love Abrade. It's a terrific magic card. That said, when we're switching our mana base to be more black-focused, because we do want to, like, the deck is best when you're playing your turn 2 Wishclaw. Like, ideally, you turn 2 Wishclaw every single game. That's what you want to be doing. You don't ever want to fetch for Steam Vents to answer something, so instead we're running 2 copies of Echoing Truth on the board. This could be 1 Repeal as well. 1 Repeal, 1 Echoing Truth. I don't have a strong opinion on that. Play whatever your heart desires. But they should be blue, in my opinion. Just, you really want to be fetching Water Grave, so blue answers are probably better. Fatal Push. I've had a number of people say, Bryant, what are you going to do about Death and Taxes? Because of Sanctum Prelates coming out in Modern Horizons 2. The answer is not care. Honestly, like, they have to be on the play, they have to have 3 mana, and they have to have Prelate. And from there, you have Perilous Voyage, you have Fatal Push, you have Echoing Truth, and then even our sideboard copy of Dismember. All these things answer Prelate. It's just another hate bear. People are acting like it's the end of the world. We're going to be fine. Yeah. So I think Dismember and then these cards are just going to answer it very nicely. Ad Nauseum's been an all-star. I'm even looking for another Japanese foil copy. So if you have one you don't want, hit me up. I'm interested. Aria, Defense Grid, we covered those. And then EE. This card has secretly been very good. It can answer double Chalice on 1 and 2. Against the Eldrazi Tron matchup, and then you can blow them both up for 2 mana. Something similar to Echoing Truth, except you can actually cast it through a Chalice in 2. I've liked EE so far. You still have the Steam Vents for it. And yeah, I think that's what I have to say about this iteration of Twiddle Storm. That said, I know a few of you are going to ask, so do I see any cards in this deck being improved by Modern Horizons 2? My opinion is there's a bunch of cool Storm cards in the set. Galvanic Relay is a card I have high hopes for. It's a sideboard option in this deck, possibly, is a way of dodging graveyard hate that isn't Ad Nauseum. It could be good. That said, I still think Aria Flame and Ad Nauseum are probably better than Galvanic Relay. And then Chatterstorm isn't a card I would ever play in this deck. It's just not what we want to be doing. If we wanted that effect, we'd play empty. But the cards that I do think that are actually playable, that have been spoiled so far, would be Disapprove, which is a 1 and a blue for an enchantment that has flash. When it comes into play, all creatures lose all abilities until end of turn, draw a card. So it's a flash humility and you get to draw a card. Will be good against hate bears. That said, Sanctum Prelate is probably going to be on 2. So we'll have Fatal Push and Dismember. I don't know, like, this second Echoing Truth is probably going to become disapproved in my list, to be honest. That said, I don't know if it's actually better than the options we're currently playing. I still think you want 3 Fatal Push for Is It Blitz. Yeah, and I am boarding in Explosives against Blitz as well because it can deal with Alpine Moon. Yeah, I've just been really impressed by Engineered Explosives, to be honest. The card's really good. And then what was the other one? Let me check my list. Abundant Harvest. How could I forget? Everyone's talking about Abundant Harvest. They want to cut Sleight of Hand. They want to add in 2 breeding pools for Abundant Harvest because it can find your Lotus Field. It's a trap. Don't do it. So the reason that Abundant Harvest is a trap, and I agree, it can be better than Sleight of Hand. The problem is, A, you're now fetching a green source over a black source, which is going to make your Wishclaw Talismans worse. Step 1, that's awful. Don't do it. Wishclaw's purpose is not only to find Lotus Field, it's to find Psychic Puppetry and Ideas Unbound and Underworld Breach. It's so versatile, and I don't want to start fetching for green sources because of that. Well, you can name land and then help find Lotus Field. That is true. You could also hit one of your 9 fetch lands. You're not always going to find Lotus Field, and when people talk about this card, they always talk about always hitting Lotus Field. That's not going to happen. Like, it can, don't get me wrong, but you also might need to hit land 2 before you play your field, and then you'll reveal Lotus Field or something along those lines. It's not perfect. I'm just a bigger fan of Sleight of Hand, but the real reason to run Sleight of Hand over Abundant Harvest is mid combo. Let's say you've drawn Abundant Harvest, and you also have a bunch of blue cards. You're going to hit awkward situations where you tap that Lotus Field for green, cast Abundant Harvest, and now you don't have blue mana to splice or cast Ideas Unbound because you're floating green mana. You can filter it slowly into blue mana using Peer Through Depths. That said, there's going to be games that you lose because you have green mana floating, and I don't think Abundant Harvest is worth it. It's better to have a smooth, consistent deck using Sleight of Hand, in my opinion. You're welcome to test out Abundant Harvest, maybe even prove me wrong. If you want to play the green splash, I'd recommend not playing this 9th fetch land, and then maybe cutting the Steam Vents, and then those 2 can become breeding pools. That said, I think it's a mistake, but you're welcome to, learn on your own. So that's what I have to say about the main deck, possible modern cries and stuff, why I haven't made any videos recently. But this intro is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to chill for a second, and then we can hop into round number 1. All right, so as always, if you want to support this content directly, you can go to theepicstorm.com/donation decks. We have 3 wonderful tiers for you to choose from. I think the last donation deck was Tyler Carden, who submitted Ad Nauseam Tendrils. So if you want to see your deck here on this channel, that's where you go, theepicstorm.com/donation decks. It's a great way to support us and all the sweet, sweet Storm content that we create. The other way is to go directly to theepicstorm.com/shop and pick up a ton of sweet Storm merch. I would highly, highly recommend the token pack. So that's where you can go. Yeah, that's my intro. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you do, make sure to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Help us hit our subscriber goals. And make sure, if you're already subscribed, like and comment. If you're not subscribed, like and comment anyway. Help us get into the algorithm. You certainly did on that first Twiddle Storm video, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, huge shout out to the Modern Storm subreddit. You guys truly made me feel welcome there with that video. You guys were so supportive, and I do appreciate that. So once again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't believe that I made a video that hit 8,600 views. Like, it's just shocking considering the size of our channel with our niche content, and I do appreciate that. I think I've rambled on long enough now, and you're probably sick of hearing my dumb voice. So let's hop into round number 1, and I will see you there. Do you have any idea how nervous I am? I haven't played Magic in 10 days. This is my first match. Let's do it. Run the play. This is a pretty good first hand back. Opponent has revealed Yorion. All right. Yeah, we'll keep this. I've moved my F2 key, so it's just like not natural for me to accidentally hit it anymore. So I have to like consciously hit F2 whenever I do it. All right. Ooh, that was good. So is this. So next turn we're going to cast Claw, play Field. And then turn 4, hopefully go for the money. No creatures here. Nice try, though. Okay, so what are they doing? I haven't seen this deck yet. Alright, Teferi probably bounce my Claw. They have 6 cards. So they appeared to be F6. I could try to win right now. So I would activate Wishclaw for Ideas, shock, or I guess I don't need a shock, but I'd probably shock. Twiddle here. Ideas, Twiddle again, Breach. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to go for it. Alright, so now we can Visions and then reach on tap. Don't really need these. Do I want to keep the Twiddle, though? I guess it's pretty free. Makes a bunch of mana. Let's make sure the Breach resolves before casting Twiddle. Move lands. It's like so much fun. Like, I might not look like I'm enjoying myself, but I am. Pretty free to remove a Twiddle here. I think action spells could end up being the bottleneck. Pier's a good one. Take another Ideas. I could also take Perilous Voyage and then bounce my Wishclaw. That probably would have been a smoother kill, to be honest. I just got so excited about drawing cards. Didn't matter. Always had it. Get out of here, Teferi deck. Woot woot. We have taken game number 1. I don't know if this deck is called something or not. I'll probably have to ask someone before I label it in the video. So do I want Arya against this deck? Probably not. I am going to board in Ad Nauseam though, just so that way we have a engine that isn't graveyard based. I think I like the grids. This is what I'm thinking at the moment. Probably board out the Slights. Pretty standard. Like I board these are the cards I board out the most often, which would be the Abundant Harvest slot if you're playing the bug list. And then probably the 4th Puppetry because this isn't a speed matchup. You only ever really want to draw 1 pup. And am I good with this? They're probably a Bring the Light deck, so maybe I want to board in 1 Aria. Just so that way I don't lose to like a Slaughter Games or something. What would I board out? In my mind, it's like probably Twiddle. Could be against like really slow control decks. Sometimes I'll go down to 2 pups because you only ever want to draw the 1. So it's like Twiddle or Spell Pierce in my mind. I think I'm going to do -1 Pierce. I want to keep the deck being full of like action. Could also be the Perilous Voyage, but I'm going to do this. I don't really have a guide or a solid plan for every deck. Sometimes I'm just like figuring things out as I go. And this hand's like pretty good. We're going to try this one. So obviously we have protection with our defense grid. Wishclaw finds our Lotus. We have lands. You can even hardcast Ad Nauseam if you want to. All right, well, our 4's out of our deck now. This probably is a Bring to Light deck. I wonder if I should bait with the Wishclaw. Is Wishclaw better than the grid? That's the question I'm asking myself right now. I think we need the claw more than we need grid, so I'm going to lead on the grid. Like, finding Lotus is more important than this resolving. Ooh. All right. So, well, we don't have any more basics left in the deck after this. And I could activate this right here and then go get Lotus. That's a little risky in my opinion. I'm not going to do that. Because if they untap into like Unmourned Ego on Lotus, well, I guess we could have played Lotus, but like you don't really want to give them like Unmourned Ego or slaughter games or anything like that. So I'm going to pass. If they blow it up, we still have Ad Nauseam. Okay, do we want to try to go for it here? I guess if we fail, there's a good chance we can flash back the Ad Nauseam. I guess I don't need. I shouldn't. I should just pass here because I can't play a land. So by passing, I can actually Ad Nauseam on their turn. Interesting that they have a bunch of Veils in the deck because they're just generic cantrips. So the plan is to Ad Nauseam on their end step and then untap and pass in Flames, maybe? Sorry that I'm biting my nails like a heathen. Alright, so now we're going to Nas. So this will dodge Force and Negation. Ooh, and it resolved. We can't die to anything we flip. The only way we die is if they have a burn spell. Is that a risk we're willing to take? I don't think so. Yeah, you can have your Teferi. Who cares? They bounce their Abundant Harvest. Okay. People kept on saying, like, wouldn't you be so happy if Tendrils got printed? Sure, that would be sweet. That said, Veil of Summer is still a modern legal card. Grapeshot's probably the card we'd play. You might play both. I wonder if they're like getting a Thoughtseize here. Or a Force of Negation. This would indicate Thoughtseize. But yeah, Tendrils, well, good. Yeah, who cares? I guess this Flusterstorm's dead with the Teferi, so if they have Force of Negation, they might be able to do some damage. Okay, so they're afraid of Arya. So I still have a not a Volcanic, a Steam Vents in the deck. But I don't really want to go to one. So we do need a Puppetry. Okay, they've just had enough. They're dead. So we won match number 1. Honestly, this was pretty easy, even despite what they had. We just didn't care. One of the nice things about this deck, unlike Giftstorm, creature removal is just dead. So I'm willing to bet that they were sitting with a bunch of creature removal in their hand that just never mattered. Welcome to Twiddle Storm. I truly believe that Twiddle Storm is the future of Storm combo in this format. People talk about a Manamorphose ban with Izzet Prowess. Who cares? This is the better version of Storm already, at least in my opinion. But enough preaching. I'll get off my soapbox. I will see you in round number 2. How lucky. We won the die roll again. Can't believe it. We're on the play for round number 2, and this is a stellar opening hand. We're going to keep this. Once again, turn 2 Wishclaw. So strong. So we're going to lead on fetch for Watery Grave into Serum Visions. The reason that you cast Serum Visions before Sleight of Hand or even Reach Through Mist is it digs the deepest. Ideally, we wouldn't need to cast Wishclaw Talisman to find our Lotus. We would just use Wishclaw, for something else. So this digs the deepest. It finds the cards we want. Therefore, we cast it first. Well, that was terrific. Doesn't matter. Couldn't have been a Goblin Guide. Alright, so we're taking 1 here. They're pausing like they have immunogenic growth or something. Or they're just really slow at playing Magic. We might be able to go for it next turn. We'd have to get sort of lucky, but... So we would need them to just burn us twice here and attack. And then we can play field, sack these 2 lands after floating blue, twiddle the field, use Wishclaw for puppetry, and then untap with this. We'd have a slight, we'd have a Wishclaw. Like, it's possible. I'm fine with this being their turn. Let's see what our draw step says. What a good draw. Wow. We're definitely winning now. Turn 3 against Burn, not having to care about Lightning Bolt on our Brawl. Fantastic. Okay. So let's cast this Slight. Take another Slight, why not? So here, I think we're supposed to go get ideas. All right, let's untap. So we have mana floating. So we have a couple options here. We can keep the mana floating for a possible Wishclaw into Breach, or we can cast these cantrips and then ideas. And I think the cantrip line is slightly better just because we're not guaranteed to hit the mana required to cast the Breach. Wow. So lucky. And I'm going to keep this up on top because it represents a single mana, which is probably all we need. All right. Yikes. That was actually kind of bad. So now we're going to burn this puppetry. This is why I kept it, by the way. Because now, even when our draw spells failed us, I can guarantee play Breach into a Twiddle. Usually second pup is an auto ship, but when we had the breach and we were a little tight on mana, it just made sense to keep it. Why not? Let's cast Ideas. I came here to draw cards. I'm never casting these Serum Visions, so we can get rid of those. Yikes, 3 more lands. What do we want to do? I still have to build up Storm. I think I'm just going to keep going. You might be yelling at your screen right now, but Bryant, what if you don't hit? There's only so many lands in the deck. We don't need extra ideas. Not going to cast Reach Through Mists. And this should do it. I think the only way I can lose now is if I accidentally hit no on untapping Lotus Field. So I'm just going to make some mana floating. And I can Perilous Voyage on my claw here as well. Go get our other 2 mana red card and end the game. Woot! Woot! So easy. Underworld Breach is just broken in this deck, and the fact that Lotus Field fuels it is just chef's kiss. Like, there's people out there that play Twiddle Storm, and they're not on Underworld Breach. I don't understand it. They just run 3 copies of Past in Flames. Or 2 copies of Past in Flames with, you know, multiple copies of Grapeshot. Underworld Breach is where you should be. This card is just bananas. Alright, so we definitely want these Fatal Pushes. Do I want to change these at all? I don't know. Could swap one of them with an Aria, just to dodge graveyard hate. My concern with setting an Aria is that it is a little bit slower, but if they have Rest in Peace or something, we can just blow through it. I don't really like bringing in counterspells versus burn. I don't think that's what the matchup is about. Right now I'm deciding on whether or not I'd like these 2 cards. And if I want to board out Sleight of Hand is the last option. And I think I'd almost rather have the Sleight. Yeah, I'm going to submit this. Woot woot. And I talked about the mini token pack earlier. This is the mini token pack. You get 54 tokens. You get 20 storm, 10 black, 10 red, 6 blue, 3 of the rest. Keep in mind, this token pack is designed for the Epic Storm. It is not for Twiddle Storm. I've had some of you email me asking if you can have more blue. Unfortunately, these are sealed token packs. I'm not going to open them and change them. They're made by a factory, and then I received them. So I can't give you whatever number you would like. This is what they come with, unfortunately. But this is the mini token pack. You get 54 Goblin tokens on the back, 6 of each, and they're half the size of a standard Magic the Gathering card. You can get those at theepicstorm.com/shop. All right, so we're on the draw, and we've opened up a hand that has an answer to Eidolon. We don't have a path to Lotus, unfortunately, and the second pup is sort of a mulligan. I think that you could probably talk yourself into keeping this, but I'm going to mulligan it. It's already a mulligan with this second pup. We could probably do better. Oh, that is not better. And this is. So we're going to ship the Pith and the Visions. These are all crucial cards in order to win, so we're just going to keep those. It's actually a pretty good 5. I think the only way this 5 could be better is if this peer was in Ideas. Coming out of the gate with Goblin Guide. Another field, okay. They're probably upset, but it didn't matter. I guess we got to draw a card. With Goblin Guide, we can actually use our fetches as scries to see what our top card would be. Another Lotus Field, okay. So we've drawn 2 cards off this Goblin Guide. Unfortunately, they're not cards that matter. And I might not fetch just to save myself some damage. Sure. Alright, so the Aria in the deck is looking pretty good right now. And like I said, I'm not fetching because I might be able to save myself some damage. Yeah. We don't even have a turn 3. We're realistically looking at turn 4 right now. Hoping they kept a bad hand on the back of this Rest in Peace, and that sort of signified it. Like, their hand might just be a bunch of lands right now. Twiddle. I'd actually like a Twiddle. So, we could try to win right here. That said, I don't think I'm likely to die. So they could end step bolt us, bring us to 11. Attack on their next turn, put us to 9, and then triple bolt. That's possible. But based on this play they took last turn, I don't think that's what's happening. So instead, I'm just going to play Lotus. Like, without having Underworld Breach access or Past in Flames access, I don't think it's very likely that we win here, so I'm just not going to risk it. Our best draw would be Aria off the top. It's not very likely, but it would certainly be amazing. We could probably kill them with the Aria gain 10 ability on the stack. So what happens is Aria resolves, the gain life ability goes on the stack, and then you can cast Twiddle into Peer Splice and kill them with that gain life 10 trigger on the stack. Alright, that was good. Let's start off. We could fetch the Thin. I'm hoping I can play a land that doesn't force me to lose life at some point this turn. Take another Peer. Also, keep in mind, Burn is a nightmare matchup for Giftstorm. But we're doing pretty well, even on a mulligan to 5. I think here the best pick is actually the Dream's Grip. So I'm going to take that because it allows us to use Wishclaw. We're so far away from that Grapeshot being meaningful as well. So we just put the aria on the bottom, unfortunately. How do we want to play this? So I can add 3 blue, go up to 4 blue, untap. It's probably best to just fetch the Thin. Could have done that slightly sooner. Alright, now we add black. My plan is to get Ideas Unbound and then cast Visions into Unbound. Hopefully that gives us enough gas to win. We want to see more copies of Ideas. Another puppetry we're not going to need. Visions is tough here because it's not very good unless we hit another scry or another draw spell, but I think I'm going to keep it. Okay, back in a similar boat. Okay, so we have this available now. But we don't have enough mana for that sort of line yet. We might have just lost. What can we do here? So we're going to have to discard 6 cards at the end of this turn. So we have 4 lands we don't care about, and then we could keep 3. I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way of going about that. And they're probably going to put Eidolon into play. Don't really need these. So we can bounce that. So that shuts off Eidolon. Don't want those. And unfortunately, we have to pass and discard 6. So we have 5 lands we don't care about, and then probably a Claw. There's a good chance we're dead, though. And if we do die for game 3, I plan on bringing in the other aria. Burrow's Charm. Yep. So we're going to go to 5 after the Goblin got attacked. There's a chance that we're dead. I mean, our opponent also has 5 cards in hand. So. Twiddle, okay. I don't know if that actually does us any good, but maybe. Are we dead? You have 4 cards. Can't all be lands. Alright, so we're dead. Game 3. So if you wanted to get really sneaky, you could just board these out and then bring in like 2 of those if they're just going to have it. But I think like the opportunity cost of leaving in 1 breach is so low. And you could board in the slight. I think maybe we take out the Voyage for a sleight of hand if like their hate's going to be rip. Let's try this out. All right, we're on the play. Game 3. Oh. So this hand needs to find second land and Lotus. You do have a Fatal Push to slow the game down a little bit. This hand's tough. This hand I'm like 50-50 on. It could be a keep, it could be a mulligan. I just don't know. Like, we're asking the Serum Visions to do a lot of lifting, but we have Fatal Push to buy time. I think I'm going to try it for science. Alright, we're going to get Watery Grave just to guarantee the black source in case we miss on our second land. And some people run Darkslick Shores. I don't think that's correct. You're better off taking damage, in my opinion. Just because like it helps make your deck more consistent by having Underworld Breach always be active. Your deck's thinner, so you're removing lands for Ideas Unbound from the game, so you're not drawing in a triple land later. I just don't think Darkslick Shores is actually correct. Yes! That's exactly why I kept the Slight on top. So now we're going to get the drawer land, and then on our turn we have Push Slight open. Lotus, Lotus, Lotus! I think I'm just going to cast Visions. Because I'm probably not going to push this anyway. Alright, I think we need to bottom both of these, unfortunately. If we rip Lotus off the top, though, we're definitely winning on turn 3. So one of the reasons I felt okay with tapping out now for push is this would be a good turn for them to play Eidolon. And if they have Eidolon, I want to push that. And there it is. Give me Lotus. Peer through depths. Alright. We should push this now. So that way they can't have what is it called? Burrow's Charm available to give it indestructible. Something we could do is upkeep tap their land. But I don't think that's like a great thing to do. Like, yes, we could theoretically shut them off of like another Eidolon or a Rest in Peace, but we're not guaranteed to win on our next turn, and they could just have land 3 anyway. Like, they haven't missed a land drop, so why burn a resource? So if they play Borrow's Charm, that's 8 damage. Okay. That's, I mean, with the way our hand is set up, we can likely beat that. We just have to find Lotus. Please? Okay. So if we draw Lotus off this, there's still a chance. All right, we just have to pass. I think I'm likely going to... I mean, we're probably going to die, realistically. But if for some reason they don't have 5 damage worth of burn in their hand, we can double tap. We just never found Lotus, which was the risk with keeping this hand. Probably not going to play Watergrave. And we're dead to the Skewer. Okay, so we could have twiddled. Unfortunately, instead we're dead. So we're going to be 1-1. It was a risky hand. I mean, we almost won on the mulligan to 5. So maybe I should have been a little bit more aggressive with our game 3. I want to see the next few. Shucks. Alright, so, yeah. Maybe I got punished for a bad keep. Who knows? Let me know what you think. Would you have kept the hand? Would you have shipped? And don't let hindsight bias be the big thing. Be honest with yourself. Would you have kept that hand? That's what I'm like. So many people are going. Obviously, that hand was a mulligan. After seeing what happens, that's not constructive. You have to think realistically in the moment. So let me know what you think, and I'll be back with round number 3 in just a second. All right, and we're back for round number 3. Once again, we're on the play. Pretty lucky. Unlucky is this hand. We're going to have to ship it. And we're going to 5. This hand, it's just a little bit of a trap. You only have reach to help sculpt. Yeah, I just don't think we can keep that. For a 5, this is okay. We're just looking to hit land number 2. That isn't a Lotus Field, obviously. Our opponent's also going to 5. Will we get lucky and hit the land? Let's find out. What are they on? Come on. Okay, probably the 5-color deck again. Not the land we needed. A little bit brutal. I mean, puppetry is not an awful draw because we would need one of those. That would have been our Wishclaw target. Sure. So that makes Claw sort of bad unless they minus here. And they did. Come on, deck. Give me that magical land. Let's see it. That was an F6. So maybe this deck doesn't play counter spells. Like I said, I haven't played Magic in 10 days, so excuse me if I'm not up on all the current trends. Nath. No fetch land was nice there. Alright, let's party. Holding this light in case we hit a cantrip, like, let's say there was these ideas weren't in here and there's a Serum Visions or something. Like, it just doesn't hurt to hold this, and maybe you end up needing the mana for Wishclaw as well. Like, there just isn't a reason to cast light first. Alright, so we can activate. It's free to place light here because we can still go get Underworld Breach. This makes a mana, so I'm going to take it. The mana is better than a sculpted card in my opinion, because we're also going down a mana to cast this light. And Past in Flames will probably win it. From 12. We do have to storm up a little bit higher. Love casting Ideas Unbound. It's like the reason to play this deck. And it's just better, if we're being honest. But some people are still in denial on Gift Storm. Let's undo. We're going to hold priority. Okay, they're going to concede. I was trying to hold priority. I was going to be cute, cast this, double splice. I was going to burn the claw out. But our opponent decided we weren't allowed to have fun. So, wump wump. We're going to board similarly to how we did in round number 1. Brought out a breach. Want the grid. Do I want Aria? I think that's something that we did in round number 1. I boarded out a Spell Pierce. Maybe that first deck was just an Omnath deck and not a Bring to Light deck. That said, the Volkey was a little bit different. Did they play... They played the Mardu land here too, so they might be a Bring to Light deck as well. According to Goldfish, it is a Scape Shift deck. Yeah, okay, so they're just like 5-color Scape Shift with Bring to Light. Okay. They have Damping Spheres in the board. At least the latest list did. Have a minute to think this over. Well, the latest list had it, but a bunch of other lists don't. We still have a Perilous Voyage in there. Yeah, most lists don't have the spheres. It's just that first list that does. So I think I'm going to submit this. "47 seconds to think about it." They don't really have that many counter spells, so I think maybe I'll do this instead. Here's the 1 grid. Yeah, like their number of counter spells is actually pretty low. Maybe the right thing to do would be 2 Aria, no grid. Maybe I'll do that for game 3, if there is one. Opponent quickly mulligan to 5. That 6 was instantaneous. Wow, what a draw. Looking pretty good. Just go get our Watery Grave. Didn't need another Lotus, but whatever. Not the end of the world. So right now this Wishclaw is representing Pup because we don't have a Pup yet, despite having double Twiddle. Our opponent cannot play Teferi here. It's worth noting. Alright, well, they're on the list with Sphere, unfortunately. That was a good draw. Not sure about this. Do we hit the bounce spell? No, we didn't. But we did hit the Pup, which is not bad. So now we need one more land. And then we could... So let's say we hit land number 4. Then on the following turn, we could Perilous Voyage all in one smooth action into Ideas. You just need one more land. Wow. All right, so next turn cycle we can do it. Because I need to be able to activate, cast Perilous Voyage, play Lotus Field, twiddle the Lotus Field, so we need 4 lands. So we have to get through this turn cycle. And you might be thinking like, Bryant, why don't you just activate Wishclaw and pass? If there's the second sphere in their deck, they can get it, and then we're just locked out outside of Aria. So trying to avoid that. And if they have Scape Shift, we're actually dead here. Pretty close to dead anyway. So they can return the land, play an extra land. So that's 6, 8. That would put us to 4. This is a Bring to Light. Bring to Light kills us too. Alright. So we're dead. We're going to board differently for this sphere. It was in the most recent list, but it was the only one that had it. Could board in the explosives. Let's try this. Okay. So right now this is a turn 3 ad nauseum, I think. So we would have 2 mana floating, Lotus Field, Twiddle. We'd have ad nauseum with 1 floating. So they have to have a turn 2 sphere to stop us. So the list does have 2 negate, which kind of scares me. There's also 2 Aether Gust. Am I supposed to play around their 2 of? Think I'm going to pass. If I get hit by Sphere, I'm going to be a little bit angry. But I think they would have played it. And turn 3 is a turn where they're going to want to tap out for Dryad or something else. Maybe I got bluffed out by a Growth Spiral. Yeah, they're hard representing negate. I'm just going to pass. I did keep in the Spell Pierces. They have 2 negate, 2 mystical dispute. So that wasn't that great. So 6 lands doesn't kill us, but if they go end step, grow spiral into escape shift, that'd be kind of bad. I think I'm just going to pass. So my new plan after drawing Breach is I'm going to end step ad nauseum no matter what now. And then untap and try to win. Because I only have to burn 1 Dream's Grip. It's a fairy. So this is probably getting hit by negate or dispute. Really? So they played their land. Jeez, this has been a lot of damage. I think I'm actually going to stop here. Just so that way I don't die to like a lightning helix or something. They plussed. That's really interesting. So I can tap their Triome, which is probably the best bet. And then switch phases, and then start casting ideas in my second main. Wow! I think I just lost. Wow. We need more Twiddles. Okay. I'm also trying to not deal myself 1 damage, because if I go to 3, I could theoretically die to a bolt or something. Well, it appears that they didn't have negate. I wonder if they actually have Aether Gust as their interaction. It's like one of the few cards that makes sense to me, I think. Let's test out that theory. I don't need Past in Flames. Whoops. I am going to Storm for just a few more, just in case they're on, like, I don't know, something silly. They're sitting on multiple Force and Negations and chose not to use them. Like, us just doing this stuff is pretty free, so why not take advantage of it? Okay, they've decided they've had enough. All right, so we're 2-1. I'm learning a little bit about this matchup. Maybe defense grids weren't correct in the first round. At least this appears to be the same deck, so it's a Bring to Light Scapeshift deck. Yeah. Can't say too much about our league so far. The Burn matchup was close, but I might have misplayed. This seems like a pretty positive matchup for us. And let's see if we can get the last two. Finish strong with a nice 4-1. We're in trouble. We are facing my good friend Ryan Walagora, Winged Hussar, and we're on the play. Ryan typically plays Mill, and Mill is not a good matchup. That said, Ryan's probably testing for like a modern showcase or something, because Ryan doesn't play that much modern in general. So hopefully Ryan's not on Mill, but Mill's a matchup that I'm not expecting to win. The nice thing is we do have a Lotus Field and a Grapeshot in hand, so this is not going to get Surgical most likely. And if we can get the field into play before Surgical, that's good. I've done a lot of work with Ryan on Pioneer Lotus. Sending Ryan a nice jab. Hopefully we get this, but I'm not expecting to. All right, Ryan, let's go. He's killing me. He's over there making fun of me in the chat, and I'm trying to fill dead airtime. All right, let's do it. Not playing out my fetch to turn on Archive Trap. Keeping the slate on top's pretty free when we're just going to double cantrip next turn. Breach was actually a decent draw. If Ryan actually is on mill. Steam, it's not mill. Okay. Ah. It's this deck. This deck does play Force Negation, so it's not the easiest. Down to 12, I like it. Alright, so is there a Cascade card in Ryan's hand? The Exalted one, I believe, is the one that Ryan can play off these colors of mana. Ardent Plea? Yeah, there we go. So Living End is going to be cast. These creatures will enter the battlefield, and we are forced to try to win right now, hoping that Ryan doesn't have a Force Negation in hand. It's a pretty fast resolve. Okay. Don't actually have a whole lot of action. We just have to get up spells. I think that these are both keeps. We just have to get up enough storm count at this point. This should do it. We just want to cast a few more to get to the point where, I mean, if Ryan had Force Negation, this Underworld Breach would have been countered, but just a few more can play around our, like, there's just no reason not to, right? Like it's pretty free. Okay, so we got that one. So I think the only thing that we need to worry about from this deck is sideboard counters. I don't see it on the front page of Goldfish. Mystical Dispute appears to be like one of the few things out of the board. So we definitely want these defense grids and these counter spells. Probably board out the Voyage. That doesn't seem very good. And then like Slights. I don't imagine that Ryan has Graveyard Hate. And that's what I'm going to do. Since Ryan talked forever, I'm guessing that sideboarding is going to take a while. So if you're thirsty like I am, you can pick up an Epic Storm Pine Glass from the shop. They're terrific. They're actually etched. They're high quality. You can grab one of those while I grab a drink right now. Game number 2 on the draw. And we have no real path to Lotus here. That said, our hand is decent. I just don't think realistically we can keep this hand. I think this is a ship as well. Okay. And we can't beat that card. Because I boarded out my bounce spell. Ryan got us on a cheese win. That wasn't in any of the boards I saw. Alright. Well, maybe I should have clicked a few more because it was in the next list. Damn. Okay. What to board out? Breach is actually really good at allowing us to win quickly, so I don't think I want to get rid of that. Same thing with the pups. Like, I don't actually know what I want to take out of here. Maybe the Past in Flames? Let's try it. You know, like, you know how many times that's happened to me, by the way? Where, like, I don't board out Perilous Voyage very often. I really don't. But every time I do, I lose 2 Leyline, and then my friend Max just digs in making fun of me. Like, it's almost guaranteed. So if this hand hits land number 2, it's really good. But it's pretty big if. I think I'm going to keep. It's risky. But if you hit the land, you're solid. Sure, I don't care about that. Both ley lines is interesting, but I guess that's the list that I'm also looking at. Come on, land. There we go. So boarding up Past in Flames was good, but we do have to beat this ley line, which pretty much just means that we have to chain a bunch of spells. They're looking for Force and Negation, it looks like. Yep. Okay. So we can also win this game by just countering all the living ends, although it's going to be a difficult ask. So these breaches are dead, which means we probably don't need red mana. Doesn't hurt, I guess. Maybe I should have put that into play untapped. Okay, Spell Pierce was decent. Still sort of far away from winning. So I can bounce Leyline now, which would turn on the Breach, but we still have to find Lotus. How do I want to handle this? So what I could do is bounce this, and then because then I can Underworld Breach to answer that later. And I think I'm just going to let that resolve. Come on, Lotus. No Lotus. Also, there's only one fetchable left in the deck. I think I have to discard an Ideas here. Hand just has to be counter spells, right? Like, I can't imagine what they would have. Ley lines? I guess that could be it. Okay. Defense grid's good. Alright, I think we have it. Just need to not fizzle. Woot woot. Unhide the ley line. Perilous Voyage this. Trying to think of ways that we could possibly lose. Like Mindbreak Trap, I guess. Don't need these. Now we have Fluster too. Whoops, don't want to cast that. Do want to cast this. So that's from 14. Alright, and we have beaten Living Death. That's what it's called, Living Death. Alright, GG's, Ryan, GG's. And don't go anywhere. Round number 5 is coming up in just a second. Wow, that is quite the hand. Guess we got a little bit lucky. For the 4th time this league, we are on the play against Hot Dog. Let's see if we can get this done. Get another 4-1 Twiddle Storm video. Lotus. Well, we can't keep this hand anyway. No path to field. I think we're supposed to ship this. All right. This is red-black? Could be shadow. Lotus Field? Alright, well, I'm still going to play my Claw. We have a shot at a turn 3. I mean, it's pretty slim, but it's there. Jun Shadow. Come on, just play Goyf. I'll also take a Hex Drinker. That was kind of a bad draw. It does represent 1 mana, which isn't the worst, but it's not great. Is Past in Flames a good enough keep? Probably not. Am I really supposed to take Sleight of Hand? Probably. I'm just going to take the Pef. And we're going to pass. There's no point in casting Past in Flames here with for 1 peer. But what this does allow us to do is if they use Wishclaw for a discard spell, we're fairly immune. That's why I chose to keep the Past in Flames. Should probably not F6. Opponent deep in the tank here. So they could level twice and then swing 6. That would put us to 10. That would make Tamer Battle Rage on the Hex Drinker lethal next turn. And then it looks like they're actually activating Claw. I wonder what they're getting. I imagine it has to be a discard spell. Could be like Abrupt Decay. I don't know why they would take this path to that, though. So they did activate Claw for Thoughtseize, which is the line that we talked about. So we're going to take 4 here, going to 12. I think this means that Battle Rage is not lethal next turn. Okay, so we can cast Ideas here. And hopefully Ideas can carry us. Okay, so this will make 1 mana. So if we draw a Twiddle off this reach, we can Past in Flames. Woo! If you say it, good things will happen. It's just a fact. Could have taken Claw there. I don't think it's correct. I think we probably want the mana. Yes, I would like to keep both of those. That is bananas. Just casting spells. Almost to the end of our Past in Flame spells. We do have to find Grapeshot at some point. Our opponent probably thinks that I'm just showboating. This was like one of the issues with the early list of the deck pre-Wishclaw is that sometimes you would fizzle because you just couldn't find your Grapeshot. And there it is. So we are going to win game number 1 over John Shadow on a mulligan to 5 nonetheless. Get out of here, Shadow. Boom. Okay. Probably get rid of one of these. I think we likely want the Ad Nauseam. I'm not as confident on that, but it does allow us to be graveyard hate. I like the Arias. And I don't know how badly we want bounce effects. Like, I don't think these decks likely play anything like Damping Sphere, but I'm not positive. Junda Shadow. Let's look. Veil of Summer, Soul Guide. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have anything worth bouncing. Yeah, so I'm going to board out the Voyage, and we'll get punished, don't worry, but I'm just playing into being punished. And they do have a decent amount of graveyard hate for what it's worth. Let's try this out. Okay. Once again, if you want to support this sweet, sweet content, go to theepicserum.com/shop. Pick up a pint glass, a token pack, or a Storm 20 baseball tee. Those are my personal favorite items in the shop. All right, game 2. And this hand is terrific. We're definitely keeping this. All it's missing is a Psychic Puppetry. And our opponent's mulligan to 5. I wonder why they chose to keep Bobble in their 5. Does that mean a Delirium card or maybe Goyf? Tarmogoyf is in the lists, so it probably means that they have a Goyf. Or they just didn't like anything else they saw. I'll take a Dream's Grip. It's a fine draw. Sure. I think they probably take Ideas Unbound here. I wonder if this isn't Shadow. I wonder if it's just Jund. Bobble's in the Shadow list, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of Hex Drinkers. Well, I guess this one has a Hex Drinker in it. First 3 lists I clicked on didn't have Hex Drinker. 4th has Hex Drinker. It's probably Shadow. Who am I kidding? It's definitely Jund Shadow. And they've come to the conclusion that Ideas was the correct pick. And I'm just going to get an island here and cast Reach. Alright, here's a good one. Chose not to attack. I like that. So next turn we could theoretically cast the Aria. We'd have to burn a Twiddle to do it. So it's just something to think about. So that would go to 14. Let's say they have Battle Rage. Even if this becomes a 5, I don't think that's lethal for them. I wonder if I'm supposed to just hold it. Maybe I shouldn't have done anything. Because next turn I can float mana. I think I messed up. I'm just going to cast it. Because now I'm going to have to draw more spells or chain more spells. That might have been a mistake. Maybe I was supposed to just play Lotus Field there. And then next turn play Aria with trigger on the stack. Yeah, that was just a mistake. I was supposed to just play Field right there. Alright, come on, deck. I think we need 6 spells, if my memory is correct. I don't think mana is going to be the choke point, so I took the spell over untapping or Lotus Guaranteed. And it's wrong to Visions before Peer here, because we're going to be getting rid of our Scries with Peer, so we're going to Peer first. And this should be lethal. All right, I made this harder than it needed to be, but we got the 4-1. Yeah, that was just a misplay on my part in game 2 right there. But this was a pretty easy league in my opinion. Not to be mean to any of our opponents, but when we look at the results, our only loss was round number 2, and honestly, that probably should have been a win. We fizzled in game 2 on a mulligan to 5, but that was certainly winnable. And then game 3, I kept a so-so hand. So, yeah. Let's look at the list one more time. I don't know if there's any changes that I would make. I've been playing this list for, well, before I left for vacation, I played it for about 2 weeks straight. We didn't get to see Eldrazi, so we didn't get to use engineered explosives, but the card's been really good for me. I recommend trying that out. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comment section down below. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know that I always enjoy playing this deck. This deck's terrific. I think it's a sleeper in the format. If I had to play PTQ tomorrow, this is what I'd play. This exact 75. So, yeah, I think I'm done rambling, and I hope you enjoyed this. Cheers, take care, have a great day, and keep storming. Hey, Bryant Cook here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, but also follow the social media channels down below. If you want to support this content directly, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/shop. And if you need a little bit of assistance with the Epic Storm to get to that next level, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/tutoring. Don't worry, there's more great content coming right up.